Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Surfside Recovery Podcast. My name is Brian Licata, and we just wanted to let you guys know that if you or anyone is struggling with addiction, to please reach out to Surfside. You can give us a call at 609-709-4205 or visit us at surfside.org and all of our social media platforms.
And we are recording. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is the first ever Surfside Recovery Podcast done on Zoom. Ian, hello. You want to say hello to everyone?
What's up, everybody?
This is weird. It's very strange, but we're in a strange time right now. I mean, I don't really think we need to go into the details of everything going on. I mean, there's all these shutdowns. I just saw on the news that New York State is mandating every non-essential employee to stay home. That was just breaking about an hour ago as we're recording this. So it's pretty wild, man.
California shut down yesterday. New Jersey, we've been under quarantine or with curfew at 8 o'clock at night. Yeah, it's really interesting, and I think that there's so many facets of this thing, and I know personally, like I've been going through these like different waves. I've been monitoring this pretty intently since Monday, not this past Monday, the Monday before, when it wasn't, I don't know that it hit yet or it was like about to hit here, where I said it to like enough people that they all thought I was crazy. And like, remember last week, I actually was talking to a friend who was on our podcast. He told me I was crazy. And now we're amongst this nonsense. And, I think the addiction industry, it's a nightmare. Like, it is a nightmare to be working in the healthcare industry right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a double-edged sword. Right now, a lot of us have jobs. We haven't had to, Surfside has not had to lay anybody off. I know, talking to Recovery Centers of America, Ashley, Mountainside, Delphi Behavioral Health, like, people aren't getting laid off. Everybody's working still, but, everybody's moved to, at home if at all possible.
Right.
I got word about an hour ago that there's a treatment center up in Pennsylvania that has about 100 beds, and they have their first confirmed case in-house.
Yeah, it's going to spread like wildfire, too. I mean, in like close quarters like that, it's only a matter of time.
I mean, it's, so everyone, so back to what I was saying. So I've been going through like these waves of, and in full transparency, I just got a notification that says my internet connection is unstable. I've gone through these waves where, at one point I'm like, oh, this is kind of neat. I get some downtime. I can spend some more time with my wife, to holy shit, we're going to have to lay people off. This is going to be a nightmare, to, kind of like just overall pretty calm. Yesterday was kind of a rough, stressed out day. Today I've been a bit better. I have major concerns for people who are early in recovery, and I was actually talking to the Atlantic City Press yesterday, and they were asking, like, how are young people staying involved in their recovery, or how are people staying involved in their recovery in general? And I said, for the most part, for those who have been involved and active for, we'll say, 6 months or so, they have their network. Ideally, they're able to call people, FaceTime,
Right.
There's a ton of online meetings. But, my concern is for the guy or girl that's, maybe a month, 2 months sober, that's been kind of on the fringes, not really making friends, doesn't have a sponsor. And now there's all these meetings shut down.
Right.
And what's going to happen to them? The liquor stores in Pennsylvania are shut down. Those people are going to withdraw soon.
Right. Yeah, man. Yeah. When all that stuff broke out about that, and I even saw that in, like Philadelphia, like after a certain amount of time wasn't they're only kind of like the police department's only doing like, necessary emergency calls and stuff like that. It's crazy. I'm thankful that I'm not using right now, because it's probably wild out there. But to your point, it has been pretty cool, because I've gotten a lot of phone calls, text messages, FaceTimes from people that I don't ordinarily talk to, like people that are in my network, but kind of like on, like on the fringe, like they're not the people I talk to.
You see him at a meeting, you see him here and there type of thing.
Yeah, just like people that I haven't heard from maybe in a month, 2 months or whatever, just like a text message. I have some family members that are sober too. I had a cousin that I talked to pretty regularly, but she called me last night just to see what was going on. So that's been kind of the cool part to it, is that people are starting to be more friendly and more like attentive to the people like that they know. So if there's any sort of silver lining to it all, like that's been pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It's got to be tough for people who are newly sober. I mean, I looked online a little while ago on our local intergroup, and it seems like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 meeting areas out of what, a couple hundred in the county.
Well, but technically they should have to close, because Phil Murphy just passed the thing about any social club.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, it's only a matter of time. That's as of 11:45 on Friday.
Yeah. So right. So legally at this point, like, that was passed yesterday afternoon. Yeah. So Atlantic City Young People, Stagecoach, all those meetings, like technically they should be closed at this point.
Yeah.
I know that, dude, it's scary from the standpoint of, I think also, there's so many folks that are young. Surfside deals with the chronic relapser. We've got, houses of 18 to 35-year-olds.
Right.
These are guys that have tried to kill themselves multiple times and have stayed alive. And now they're like, oh, I don't think this is real. Like the flu, no big deal. And it's, so we've implemented a ton of precautions, but, we're even to the point where we've like eliminated family. We kept the doors open for sponsors and alumni.
Right.
I believe now we're about to shut the doors on that as well.
Right.
We have signs all over, the front door, wash your hands immediately, da, 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 da. But it's like, if we get one case, it's going to rip through the community.
Right. And there's really like, I was talking about it with some friends of mine. It's like, okay, I have a roommate, he's still going to work. He works at a supermarket.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's so crazy, because it's not like, okay, yeah, you just stay home, but it's like there's so many variables to it that it's like almost impossible.
And that's the thing right now. Like a lot of our guys who are in phase 3 who can go to work, they work at one of 3 places. They work at supermarket A in Margate, supermarket B in Ventnor, and they work at the Dollar. It's like the 3 stores that are still open. And, so we're in this position of like, it's so multifaceted. Do you tell them if their employer is still working? Do you tell them that they're not allowed to go to work?
Right.
Do you tell them that they have to move out? Everyone thinks that, oh, I'll just open a sober living. It's going to be such a good idea and so great. Like, I have a buddy who's actually now on our board of directors, Zach, who runs a program similar to Surfside up in right outside of Westchester, New York, in Yorktown.
Right.
They've been on full self-quarantine for this week at this point. I think they went into self-quarantine last Friday.
Yeah, I couldn't even imagine, man. Like, I work from home most of the time, and every day about like 1, 2 o'clock ish, I like take a couple laps around the block, because I'm just like stir crazy. So I couldn't imagine, 1, being like newly sober, uncomfortable with my own skin, and then 2, not being able to leave the property.
I mean, we're blessed, I think. We've got so much for the guys to do. We've got, board games. We've got also, one house has ping pong, one house has the video game, the buck hunter, we've got baseball. darts. We've got at the main house all the different beach games we can put out on the sidewalk. I know today the guys are going out to the camp to play paintball. So I was joking around to Dan, and I said we should move all the guys out to the woods and just hunker down out there for the next 2 months. But at some point, like I'm looking at California, and basically California shut down everything, and they're like, look, still go outside, walk your dog, exercise, try to take care of yourself, go to the grocery store, but stay away from people. Like, don't go out when you don't have to. Don't, these people who are like still going to the beach and that type of stuff, it's kind of another story. Our guys are together, right? So it's like we're in this position where we're either not going to have a case or everybody's going to get infected, including staff. And we're also talking about how, so I'm having 4 interactions a week with the guys right now. Each interaction is about, I would say, 2 hours long. Dan is there every morning. Jared's in and out every day. Andy, who doesn't live there, Mike, Utah, those guys. Terrence is there. I'm more thinking of the ones who are coming and going, right?
Right.
We have these other guys who it's one thing to contain our group. It's a whole nother story to say to a staff, is your house, are your roommates keeping things clean? Is your roommate washing his hands?
Right.
Because like, and what we talked about yesterday is like with sponsors and people coming over, we're screening them, right? So we had a couple alumni who left the county the other day, and this was before there was a case in Atlantic County. They went back to Delaware and they showed up at the house, and we said, look guys, 2 weeks. You can't come back for 2 weeks until we know if you're sick or not.
Right.
And we can do that, but it's like, right, like you said, like you live with a roommate, like I can say to you, Brian, you can't come to the house, or you can come to the house, but if your roommate was coughed on while he was at work and now he's infected you would never, what I mean, you would potentially never even know. And
right.
I was talking to Dan this morning, some other, hopeful stuff, because Dan just had a baby, and some of our other alumni and actually residents have some babies. It doesn't seem like this thing is getting children sick. There was on the news a 5-year-old, and it's funny because this stuff is like so quick on the news. You have to like scour for this stuff.
Right.
A 5-year-old in a hospital bed, and they interviewed her, and they basically said like, how are you feeling? And she giggled, and she was like, oh, I feel fine. And they like got off of it real quick. So not to say that folks who are young aren't getting affected, but, and then last night I saw something where they were, they interviewed a couple people very, very quickly that were like, oh yeah, the symptoms are really mild. Like, I'm at home, I'm working. Jared's aunt and uncle have it. They're at home. They're self-quarantined. They both.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, up in New York, Long Island. They both have it. They're both working at home. For them, it's like it's very mild. But of course, it's why so much of my day right now has been spent trying to figure out, right, like the big book says, trying to differentiate the true from the false. Who's that?
Lobos.
What's up? What's up, Matt?
Me and Ian are recording our podcast right now. Currently, yeah. We're currently recording it.
You need a cameo?
No, we don't need a cameo.
We want a cameo. We definitely want a cameo.
No, you got to put a shirt on.
Yeah.
I don't want that. No, we're not doing that.
So, it's like these cases and things that are happening. I think the government is very clear, and I think they're right 100%. I'm beyond the age where I need to like push the waters. Like, yeah, we need to stay inside. We need to be mindful. We need to not be out unnecessarily. Right. But it doesn't look like for people of our age generation, it's that bad.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is like new stuff's coming out like all the time. Like I think it's gonna get worse for another 2 or 3 weeks before it gets better. Just because we're not as far along as some of the other countries like Italy and China and stuff like that. So yeah, and it's like it's weird. Like I've heard a lot of conflicting reports. Like some of them are saying not too many young kids. Some people are saying a lot of people between 20 to 54. Varying.
There's definitely cases, 100%. Like
Yeah.
I was combing through them yesterday. I mean, there's, I almost like added it up because I figured I would need the percent, but like there are significant amounts of people between ages of 20 and 35 that have been infected, but in the big picture, it's a smaller percent, we'll say.
Right.
Don't quote me on this, but roughly 10% versus, the majority of the people, it's like later 30s, 40s, 50s.
Right.
I'm 38. Dan's 40.
47.
We'll say 40, 42, something like that. So I don't know.
Yeah, we'll talk about some things that I'm aware of that people in recovery are doing right now. I know people are doing online like workshops via Facebook. I've heard of some people getting together and doing Zoom calls, group FaceTime calls. I had it recommended to me. Let me see if I can actually pull the text message up from my one of my aunts who's in the rooms. What did she text me? So keep talking to at least 2 others in recovery every day. And I think that was one of the suggestions that we had out too. Like you can keep in contact with at least, 3 people in your network, and just try to, reach out to some of those people you haven't reached out to before. And probably a good measure too to keep an eye on your local intergroups website to see, if there are any meetings open or what sort of online things they're doing in their area. Oh.
I mean, there's tons of Zoom stuff. I'm speaking at a Zoom meeting in the next week. I know there's a bunch of stuff going on. For us, we're having Surfside. We're doing meetings in house every night.
Right. Yeah, which is a cool benefit when you're with that many people. You can kind of shake it up too. Some book meetings, some speaker meetings, all that good stuff.
I lost your volume.
Oh, did you?
There you go.
I'm here. Hello.
But,
Um,
why don't we reconvene on Sunday, and see where we're at and see what the state of the nation looks like, and see if there's any updates for people that we can provide for in general. I will say it is going to be really a bizarre time right now, and if you know someone who needs help getting into treatment, give us a ring, 609-709-4205. Places are still accepting people, but I have a funny feeling that there's some rumor that places might flip into hospitals at some point.
right.
So
Care center, stuff like that. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah.
Cool. And if you guys have any suggestions, that people in recovery might find helpful, you can drop them in the comment box too. All right, man. Well, thank you. I'll get this out.
Stay safe, everybody.
Adios.
As always, if you or someone you know is struggling, please reach out to Surfside. You can give us a call at 609-709-4205 or get us on the web at surfside.org.